Hey gang, I know school is starting, and with the start of school comes the start of a lot of ministry stuff. And I wanted to put a mental image in a bunch of your heads, so you can think about how you load your volunteers' workload. I've made the transition from being a full-time youth pastor to being a volunteer, and that has provided just a ton of insights for me as far as what it means to be a volunteer in a student ministry, really from a full-timer's perspective. And so the mental image I want you to put in your head is that of a truck. Now, that's kind of weird, but if you watch Ice Road Truckers, this will make total sense to you. Think about your volunteers. Are they a pickup truck? Are they a low capacity person? Are they a big rig, or a big rig, or are they like a super hauler? And what I mean by that is that each individual person in your ministry, each of your volunteers, has a different capacity in which they are happiest doing ministry. So there's going to be low capacity people who they just want to come and they want to love on kids, and that's really about all they can handle. It even freaks them out a little bit when you ask them to bring a package of Oreos or something like that, because they're low capacity people. And then there's the normal people, I would call the big rigs, the people who are happiest. Their vehicle for doing ministry is happiest when you've given them something to do. So they like to know exactly what you'd like to have them do on a ministry night. So maybe it's one or two things. That would be a normal load for them. And then there's your super haulers, the people who like the big trucks and they want to be weighed down. They want to do a lot, and they're going to be happiest in your ministry when you give them significant things to do, like leading worship or doing the main teaching or being in charge of an event or something like that. Those are high capacity people. Now, one of the things, maybe you haven't thought about this in this way, but when you have a high capacity person and you have managed to give them a low capacity load, they're going to be unhappy, okay? And just like when you have somebody who's that little pickup person, and they just want to come and love on kids, and you give them significant things to do in your ministry, they're going to be unhappy, okay? Think about putting a super load in a little pickup truck. They're just not going to be very happy. And then the other thing that kind of makes this illustration a little weird for you is that there's going to be times in the school year when you as the manager of the ministry are going to have to recognize that a high capacity person has a lot of other stuff going on in their lives. And they might be a high capacity volunteer, but during a time they might be just a pickup truck person. And it's your job as the manager of the ministry to notice when your volunteers are going to be unhappy with the load that you've given them. And so you're going to need to adjust things and to ebb and flow a little bit with them through their ministry year, because they have jobs and families and stuff that maybe you're not necessarily noticing or thinking about unless you're looking for it. So I wanted to pass that on as maybe just think of me as one of your volunteers. I'm happiest. I'm a high capacity person. I'm happiest when I have a lot to do in a ministry, but there's also times where it's just not possible for me. So that's just the way I like to be managed as a volunteer. It's just somebody who can ebb and flow a little bit. So I want you to just think about that as you prepare for your ministry year, and to really not to think about your volunteers as a truck, because that sounds so horrible, but to really make sure that you're managing people's capacities in a way that they're actually built for. I believe God has made people to be high capacity and low capacity and medium capacity. And so you might need to adjust your job description. I know one of the things I always try to do as a youth pastor is have each volunteer have like a job description, and but I always tended to make that like one job description, when in fact it should probably be three different job descriptions, or maybe an individual job description for each person. So that's my advice for you today, and yeah, happy trucking.